face up. But here's a match that I think a lot of people potentially could have some idea of, due to the fact that they're relatively close in competitive status. Yeesh did take a break this competitive season before he got promoted into silver in SEL 3, winning the silver championship, I believe. So we'll be competing in silver next competitive season if he doesn't receive a promotion. But arturiax competed in bronze this season, a division obviously you're very familiar with, Nemflis, after coming first in the regular season and making your way out of it into silver. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
But yeah,
Arturiax was
arturiax.
definitely a scary opponent in bronze this season at the beginning of the season. I think he has a high game count, but I don't know if a lot of that is recent. Although, especially towards the end of the SCL season, I've been seeing him hop on more and more to just play practice matches and stuff. So I think there has been some solid improvement going into the Summer Cup.
Yeah, no, I would say so as well. So let's not keep anyone waiting. I know that you're all here for the competitive matchups, and here they come. It is Yeesh versus Toriax, kicking things off. Oh, before we do, I will just remind you guys, we are playing on a new map pool here. The round of 16 competes on a set of 5 maps, being Veranda the first, any 3 or 5 pub, into library, into courtyard, and then ballroom. And then if there are ties at the end of it, we'll talk about what that means and what we will do. So yeah, let's get into the game. We kind of teased you enough. Here's arturiax versus Yeesh. Arturiax spying first on Veranda. Arturiax was the 2nd seed in this matchup. He got to choose whether he wanted to spy first or snipe first as per the rules. It seems he has chosen to spy first here. So let's get into it in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
So obviously Veranda's a new map in the rotation. It was also one of the least picked maps in SCL Season 4. So you might see a lot of players who are not necessarily as comfortable on it as the original 4 ballroom, courtyard, library, pub.
Look at that. So I'm really interested to see how people start games off. And Artorias taking a drink first shows that he's really just looking to potentially get some soft tells, maybe get that flirt with the seduction target. But Till takes us spot in conversation. That's a tight conversation to get into.
Yeah, the ST is a bit unavailable right now, so we may have to get some other mission progress. That drink might come back to bite us because maybe we were hoping to do an early timer flirt or something like that, and now that's unavailable, and we can't do much else because of the drink. But it looks like we're going to grab a fingerprint at least, so there's some mission progress happening.
Yep, fingerprint on the briefcase. We stop short of the ambassador as he's at the red bookshelf, trying to avoid any etiquette hardtails against Yeesh, who is probably known best for being a bit of an etiquette sniper.
Yeah, I definitely feel like Arturiax is being cognizant of the way Yeesh snipes. He's pretty etiquette focused. He's a lot more behavioral than a lot of the opponents that Arturiax has had to face in the past in bronze. I don't normally see him play spy this passively, and maybe that's just a bit of awareness about the fact that Yeesh is willing to give behavioral lowlights, and he is a bit more flexible on his lighting than maybe someone like me or Catnip, who Arturiax has faced in the past.
Does look though that Artoriax will pick up a highlight for the second fingerprint here. A mission completed, a soft tell at that, and definitely opens up windows of how to complete here on Veranda. But such an early highlight for mission progress potentially could not bode well for Artoriax.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, usually a rule of thumb is that you want to avoid statues because you'll get highlight for that. Yeesh will highlight you for aggressive fingerprinting as well. So perhaps Arturiax doesn't know he's highlight right now. Wrong arm bug is seen, and a shot comes off from Yeesh.
Yeah, no, that was really unfortunate. I think Artoriax would have preferred that bug there to be inside the ambassador rather than outside of him. But due to the fact he started walking at a time when his left arm is closer to the ambassador, it means that that arm will be the one stuck out. And whilst the bug does connect, so does Yeesh's shot. Taking the first point in this series on Veranda, now jumping into the spy role as Till. Let's get into it in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
The decision to spy first could very possibly be just a desire to get that early, kind of break serve against Yeesh's spy. But the flip side of that is that if you lose your first game on spy side, you're not going to feel too bad about it, as long as you can hold serve and bring it back for a sniper win in the next game.
Yeah, no, I think when I first started playing competitive games, Yeesh, struggling again in that conversation, potentially would receive a bit of suspicion if that was seen. When I first started playing competitive, I thought, great, let's get the spy win over and done with. And then I back my sniper enough that from that point onwards, I'm always a point upwards. However, when you don't get that spy win in a series where it will end at 6 points if you make it there, it can potentially backfire. And so it'd be really interesting to see what happens here, especially if Yeesh converts this spy victory. Then arturiax is constantly on the back foot.
Yeah. We are getting some early flirt progress. We did have a green timeout at the beginning of the game also, which I didn't think was mentioned, but it's going to give Yeesh a little more time to play around with, a little more time to idle. And arturiax does highlight for statues, so that means the longer this game goes on, the more highlights are going to be racked up at this party, and the more suspicion arturiax is going to have of the AI characters.
It's going to be really interesting to see how many he does end up having. 4 currently. Look like another timer. This time it's white, which means that arturiax did have his clock jump up by 45 seconds. So far, no sniper indication that the time ad was seen or that he knows who did it. So you should potentially get away with that one free.
The highlights on the people at statues are sticking, so arturiax has definitely not noticed it at this point. And just stepping in for a second flirt, Yeesh playing the beginning of this game very slowly, not doing anything that might get him a highlight.
That was a red flirt there, unfortunately for Yeesh. That means the seduction target stepped out of conversation over towards green books where she's taken a book. I did wonder if she had a book in her hand. When you red flirt your seduction target, it does cause them to do some crazy etiquette stuff, but thankfully for Yeesh here, that's not the case. Now stepping into conversation with the double agent who leaves immediately, not getting very lucky with the AI.
I guess now we're a bit thankful we had those early time ads, because we've burned not only a minute and 15 seconds, but also the extra minute and a half from the time ads, and we only have 1 flirt for our progress.
Over
now
to,
finally grabbing a print.
Yeah, a print off the book here, blue book in hand. Veranda, a map where direct transfers can be pretty powerful. However, usually people opt in to transfer from green to red or red to green as they are so close to each other. Maybe we get one with the blue book. It'll be really interesting to see what Yeesh decides to do with this.
Toby and the ambassador were both on the other side of the map near green and red, so it's possible that the blue book came off unseen, but we will have to see.
Ooh, attempted a reverse drive-by bug. Till stuck her arm out. Noticed that from the sniper cam. It seems like arturiax didn't, as Yeesh remains unhighlighted.
Get our second flirt. We're at 81%. Half of the original time remaining, 2 minutes. And if we do dump this book in a different shelf, I think we're doing pretty good on time. If we don't, then we need to get a move on.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. Unless Yeesh believes that he can force a wrong shot out of arturiax due to the fact that there's just so many highlights that have been stacked up so far. Looks like we might knock some out. Here comes a contact. It is going to be a white action test.
Banana bread.
Conversation with the double agent, which we stick on through. arturiax now has an opportunity to lowlight a couple people outside of conversation, but none of them are highlight.
Yeah, we had 3 lowlights in the conversation with the real DA. And then Papa Danger actually split into a bug path right after. So we're not really getting anything out of that banana bread on the sniper perspective. And we actually use it to cover for dumping the blue book into the green shelf. So that's 2 more missions for Yeesh. Partial progress on 2 more with a minute left to play.
Suddenly looking like he's in a good spot, but still struggling to get into these conversations. Yeesh hasn't been punished for it just yet. Is going to look for our flirt with seduction target to finish that mission off. Now we're 3 out of 5. Over to the statues here. Going to pick this up. Look for our inspects as well. There is no fingerprint though on this statue, so potentially we'll have to look to find that fingerprint unless we're looking to swap.
Yeesh may be aware of a fingerprint on another statue. Looks like the briefcase is at a statue over on the right, so it could be that one.
Oh, never mind. Looks like there's going to be a shot coming out regardless. Arturiax under pressure. A whole extra minute and a half added to this game. A 5-minute, 30-second game at this point. Decides to take the shot onto General. Let's see what General was doing just before the shot did get taken, and what Arturiax was looking at. Over at the window pad here, checks his watch, takes a drink. And potentially that drink may have had a fingerprint. No, it looks like Arturiax thinks that the guest list is gone based on his zoom in. But unfortunately, the guest list was there. And I guess the pressure of being in a game for so long had got to him that wasn't willing to rotate any further to see if that guest list was indeed there.
And if that is General's last mission, he only has 10 seconds, and Toby's being a bit fickle with the pathing there, so maybe he's not confident that he has time to check for the purloin.
Yeah, no, that's very true. I think purloin is a great last mission, especially due to the fact that you have to make up your mind within 10 seconds, and if you're unsure, then it's very unlikely a correct shot or even a shot comes off. So Yeesh going up 2-0 in this series, taking Veranda. An unforced error though, being the cause. Arturiax just getting a little bit antsy. We'll now have to try and bring that back.
We say unforced, but there were 2 time ads in that game, so
Sure.
perhaps helping a bit with building suspicion on an AI.
Yeah, that's
in
true.
any case, moving on to pub for the next 2 games.
This is any 3 of 5 pub. So far during the Summer Cup, we have seen the more default, I suppose, 4 out of 7 as it is now. But 3 out of 5 pubs are a bit of a different beast. You cut 2 missions, Spy's Choice. You still have the same amount of time to complete them, 3.5 minutes. There's 12 guests here, and of course a couple of them are cast, 3 of them. So 9 guests to try and find your way through as a sniper, but it's very difficult because AIs can complete very quickly. Looks like Arturiax has cut Swap and Purloin here, leaving on Bug. Swap always gets cut usually, and then it's a choice between Bug and Purloin is the meta that I've seemed to gather from everyone. So with Bug on, let's see how Arturiax plays this one in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Pub 3 of 5 is going to be a layout that a lot of the older players are familiar with, but maybe haven't played in a while. A lot of the newer players may have never played this. Definitely not played it competitively because it wasn't in SCL Season 4, but maybe not even played it at all. And I think it's going to be a big swing map in a lot of these round of 16 matches.
Yeah, I certainly haven't played pub any 3 out of 5 until forced to train for it for this Summer Cup round of 16. And it is very difficult. You could compare it to High Rise 3 out of 5, but honestly it feels with the single inspect that AI need to do, it's more likely that an AI will finish than 3 out of 5 pub High Rise. That
Much easier for AI to finish. Oh, immediately shot.
Yeah, and that's an etiquette shot. 100%. We talked about how Yeesh is an etiquette sniper. Well, look what Arturiax does here. Starts his idle animation up. The idle animation ends right here. Oh, okay. Maybe not. It looks like he did complete his idle.
I think he cut the idle a bit. I don't think it quite finished.
I don't know. That's Yeesh has been phantoming some animation breaks on me in practice matches. Potentially suspected a bug back here, but he has a really clear view of it, so I don't see how so. Could be a pathing shot. Yeesh is confirming in chat that it's an etiquette break, but from my point of view, this is about as edge case as etiquette gets. I've seen AI leave the circle immediately after an idle animation finishes like this. Potentially, it's rare enough that you can take the shot. Either way, it's a correct one. Yeesh goes up 3-0.
This is a really bold shot from Yeesh. I think he definitely could have waited longer for confirmation. I think this is him trying to throw off arturiax a bit, get into his head with an early etiquette shot.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it does play out. 3-0 already. Yeesh now spying as Wills. Let's see what he does here on the pub in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
A lot of players are pretty reliant on camping in order to net them wins, and especially in the Summer Cup, the matches that were played in the group stages are all very camper viable maps. Pub 3 of 5 is not a map you can camp. So we're going to see perhaps some older players who have some more behavioral or etiquette sniping styles having an advantage. And we're going to see newer players and camping players have to adapt in order to net sniper wins on this map.
Yeah, no, certainly. And a map that has a lot of really distinct AI paths as well. There's a lot of ways that you can find lowlights or at least lower suspicion onto some of these AIs. One of the strategies that a lot of people have adapted in my scrims has been to quite literally just AFK all game and hope an AI finishes. But here we go. Is a contact coming through. Yeesh picking up the contact. He has a 45% flirt, green test at range, and a highlight for his troubles.
Yep. Low light comes off on Alice, who did have statue and specs, but we should see a lot of AI doing that, so not a huge deal.
And interestingly enough, Yeesh has cut Bug here and turned Purloin on.
Yeah. Against players who are good at catching Bug, this is a pretty reasonable thing because bugs are really only viable inside the bar. And even then, oftentimes there's not going to be a lot of cover for them. You kind of have to get off with really calculated bugs or really cheesy bugs.
At this point, arturiax with a field of highlights. One of them just steps into statues. Seek now over there. This is where things get a little bit dangerous when you're playing any 3 out of 5 pub, because all you need is a contact and a statue visit, and at some point you have to assume that someone's completed seduce.
Yeah, and if you're suspicious of Seek for doing like an early seduction rush, for instance, that's very strong on this map, being able to get all of your flirts early and then doing something like BB inspects. So the sniper really never even has a chance to look at you flirting until it's too late.
Yeah, Seek doesn't have contact, but I do believe Kane here does. We'll have to see how this one does play out. Yeesh, though, adding time, a green test at the window pad here puts another 45 seconds on the clock. Arturiax clock has now slowed. Here comes another seduce here. White test puts us up to 79%. That's fine for a 3 flirt. If we can get a close range one to come, and of course we have that delegate option. Yep, Yeesh going to use it here. Sends the seduction target to bar, which he can then potentially pick up another seduce once the flirtation expires.
Yeesh has some pathing error there. I'm assuming he's trying to chase his seduction target to the bar so that he can get the last flirt. But unfortunately, he has to do a little U-turn to make it happen. Arturiax has noticed the time ad now because the clock is slower in the final 30-second beeping. The Purloin doesn't take. Timer is expired.
Yeah,
so
I think
Yeesh is going to be hard-pressed to win.
Potentially didn't want the guest list to be taken, just wanted to use that as a flirting tool. However, he red tested the flirt at bar, and so didn't pick up that progress. Now Kane, who I believe had real BB, now has a fingerprint as well. Slow beeping, slow ticking. Arturiax seems pretty steady in his determination here. He's really going to wait for this shot. Flirt now done.
Finishes seduce, but
we can delegate to hold the clock. There it is.
So
delegate
he's
holds
actually
the clock.
delegated to an SDA here, which could spell disaster.
Let's see how this does play out. So for those who are unaware, when you finish your mission count, the clock hangs at 0, and then as soon as the guest list gets purloined, the 10-second countdown will start. It's about to start just now as the guest list gets purloined by Teal. Here it comes. Does Arturiax know its wheels? Oh, yeah, it looks like he does. Can he take the shot? Yes, he can. Oh, Yeesh attempting to dance.
There's a bit of dancing.
But unfortunately for Yeesh, not to be successful. A really hard shot, actually, for Arturiax to make, due to the fact that he's aiming at the spokes, or the spokes of the wheel here from Wheels, and couldn't quite get his cursor on it for some time. But in the end, does find the shot, brings it back to a 3-1 scoreline.
Cowboy and Taft were in that conversation, so dancing wasn't the worst option in the world, but doesn't end up working.
Well, that's any three a pub for you. Let's move to something that we all know. It's the library here. And let's see how Arturiax is looking to potentially mount his comeback. Playing Kane, Papa Danger here. Let's see how this one does play out in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
That was 2 sniper wins on Pub 3-5. I definitely don't think that'll be the most common outcome we'll see on that map, but I guess the rest of the matches throughout the week will tell us what happens.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, Yeesh and Arturiax, regardless of this result, are thankful that they don't have to play any 3 of Hub ever again for the Summer Cup. It's all done. The nastiness has been completed. Arturiax, though, here is going to step into a conversation, pick up a flirt here at range, white test for 28%, which puts us in a position when we have some seduce progress, not much, but enough that we can then finish that quickly with a green test. Now it's side statues, picking up a couple of inspects here. Yeesh hasn't quite noticed yet, or at least hasn't put his camera onto it, potentially not wanting to highlight for inspects.
Yeah, like I said earlier, Yeesh a bit more fluid with his highlights, not going to do a rote statue highlight, but he will highlight you sometimes for going to statues. It's a lot more dependent on the context of what the spy actions are within the greater match. So oftentimes that also makes it a bit harder to tell whether or not you are high lit, neutral lit, low lit during the match. So sometimes against some snipers, you can be sure, oh, I know I visited statues, so I know I'm high lit now. You can't automatically make that assumption with Yeesh. And likewise, you can't assume you're not high lit just because you haven't gone to statues.
It's very true. Yeesh definitely glancing back and forth very quickly, really taking in the party, so has all the opportunity to have seen Arturiax at that side statue, I'm sure. Potentially probably did. Based on how rapid these movements are back and forth as he scans the party. Arturiax just idling in a conversation for a little bit. Now going to step close to Queen, but not too close. Picks up another seduce here at the window pad and finishes that mission off. That's the last time that he has to be seen next to Queen.
And that's very good that Arturiax got out of that without too much suspicion. It was a really far window flirt. I was actually a bit worried that it wouldn't finish it off. We were at 78, so we needed 22. Luckily, we were close enough, and not super close as to rouse suspicion about the flirt.
Here we go, stepping over to the side statue to pick up our third and final inspect, or in fact, our 2. We only got 1 inspect at the other statue. And a fingerprint as well, which means that we've got some good options to finish this game, but time's a ticking. We're at the 1-minute mark.
Banana bread. Half a fingerprint. We have banana bread done now as well. We still have that on the table, which is a nice, quick, easy mission. It's going to be fingerprint and a hardtail for us to finish it off. The decision of which hardtail is going to be interesting.
This is actually really difficult for Arturiax to finish. There was not many real people who could have done that contact there. Only the people in his circle here. Now steps over to the blue book to potentially look for a microfilm transfer. Does he cut the animation short? I don't think he does, but there are quite a few people there. Steps past the ambassador, doesn't bug. How confident is Yeesh that the bug didn't happen? We're still ticking down 18 seconds. No shot has come through yet. There's the bug attempt with the cane side, but it fails. Yeah, that's really rough. 10 seconds. We have to add time if we want to stay in this game. What is arturiax going to do? 4 seconds left. Steps onto the pad, misses it, adds time. Green test. It goes through. Clock is hanging. But Yeesh almost looked like he was going to take the shot. I'm not sure arturiax gets out of this.
Yeah. Oh, and he's just going to take the shot before any pending green swap, purloin, anything can come off. Before arturiax even finishes any more missions. He's really sure about that shot.
Yeah, and so potentially for Yeesh, there's this moment here as arturiax leaves the window pad where he steps past the ambassador, and Yeesh can't get a full look on whether or not a bug happened there. The ambassador kind of bounces in a way that a bug would have been possible. However, you know, as Yeesh I'm sure knows, and most people know, when you are hanging at 0-0, you will get the overtime beeps for a full 10 seconds. So Yeesh knew that missions weren't done, but felt pretty confident, I guess, noticing the slight window miss, the stutter step there into the clock hanging and the watch check. There's just so much going for you that you potentially can make that shot with about 95% certainty.
Looking at his other highlights, I don't think many of them were doing... Rocker was near the list, but I don't think she had been offered recently, so it can't be a green purloin. No one has gone to do Pearl's potential green swap, so I think Yeesh is pretty sure that it's just the time ad.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there as well. So with that, Yeesh puts himself up to 4 points and now is spying to potentially start closing out this series. Spying as Orange Dress, a very interesting character choice, which I'll let you talk about in just a second. Let's get into it in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
So Orange Dress, interesting choice because Library is a very big map and Orange Dress is a very slow character. I don't think, or at least I don't know of many snipers that are going to do like an automatic low light onto Orange Dress or Pearls. They may have kind of mental lower suspicion of them, but I think in general it's just going to make missions harder to get done for Yeesh here.
The one thing that I know that Yeesh loves to do, though, really, you know, inventive, I suppose, in the SpyParty, creative is probably the better word, is hide behind pillars to complete missions. And Orange Dress, with her orange color, kind of blends into the floor a little bit, and the pillar itself. And because of her thin posture, makes hiding behind a pillar a little bit easier. Wow, we've finished Flirt in just under a minute. That was very quick.
Definitely aggressive on the flirting. Don't think we're going to get punished for it. And yeah, Yeesh does like to do some pillar shenanigans. I actually had a practice set against him where he tried to do it as Cowboy. Bit too large. I could see his hands peeking out a bit to the right. But Yeesh definitely does like his shenanigans.
Oh, here we go. That's a contact into a pillar hide. Look at that. Yeesh is playing the game. Yeah, adjusts to hide behind it, hoping for a bug onto the ambassador, but the ambassador takes the widest path possible in that scenario and goes to the green bookshelf.
It's not quite invisible from sniper side. Yeesh has corrected for it a bit. arturiax's cursor was actually over Yeesh for a second there, and he saw the outline of
that zoom in was me, for those wondering. I zoomed in, which is terrible productions quality. arturiax did not zoom in. But arturiax potentially could have seen.
And maybe Yeesh knew that he wanted to get the early flirt done so that he can afford to just spend a minute, however long he wants, standing here waiting for the bug that's eventually going to happen.
I'm regretting that decision to zoom in. I was interested to see how clear the hands were. Yeah, no, arturiax didn't do that.
arturiax actually leaned around the pillar on the right to make a low light onto Queen, but he has not leaned around the pillar on the left.
Yeesh is really hanging out for the bug. Now, one thing I know from experimenting with pillar strats myself is that the bug is very difficult actually to get on this left pillar here. Much easier to get on the right pillar due to the fact that the right pillar's conversation circle is closer, and it forces the ambassador into a very specific path. Though Yeesh does take opportunity, goes for a green purloin whilst behind the pillar. There it goes, popped off. Teal takes a guess, so she's low lit as well. Yeesh
And
reveals himself.
gets on out of there.
Yeah,
I guess
steps
he
over
thinks
to
the
middle
purloin
statue.
is enough.
Holy, okay. Well, here we go. Inspects at statues here. That's going to be the first inspect, taking an entire animation cycle. Second one's a white as well. Third one is going to come through a green test, thankfully. And a swap. We're going full ham.
It's a white swap. Is arturiax going to pan over? No, he's looking at the right side of the map.
Wow.
Oh,
that's incredible.
It looked like he saw it just for a bit at the end there. Walt's head was blocking it to an extent.
Yeah, no, that's true. Wow. So Yeesh hanging out behind the pillar. Let's see how long he hung out behind the pillar there. Contact into Spy Leaves conversation, stepping behind it at 79 seconds into the game. And then it finally left it a whole 100 seconds later. So pretty much hung out there for about a minute and a half. Or just over a minute and a half, really looking for the opportunity to potentially pick up a bug. The purloin, though, does come through, and because it's a green test, and because arturiax never saw the reject from behind the pillar, I don't think he even looked to see if Toby was offering. No, look, this is it. Glances away, doesn't really see it, just sees Toby shuffling around randomly. Never knew that Yeesh could have possibly done it. So wow, that's a spy win going over to Yeesh, taking library home for himself. We now move on to courtyard, and Yeesh is sniping with match point in this series. This is a hard place to be if you're arturiax playing pearls. Let's see if he can keep himself alive in the Summer Cup. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
So we're playing Pearls and Taft is our ambassador. So the default choice for the hard tell is going to be Bug, but we'll see what arturiax decides to go for. We'll see if we see some inventive courtyard spy play. He's definitely going to need it if he wants to win this series, so...
I mean, at this point, arturiax, you've got to be feeling fairly rough done by. You kind of got taken out by a ghost, as it felt on library. There's the reverse drive-by bug attempt. Yeesh potentially saw
it actually
hand
comes
return.
Off.
Wow, that connected. This could be huge.
I think I'm surprised that connected.
Banana bread.
Contact, green test. One low lit light for Yeesh here. Potentially pick up highlights for real, but there's actually quite a lot of them. About 8 real potentials for the real contact here. We've got 29% on the flirt. Seduction target leaves the conversation. We wanted to join to continue that. This could be a spy win for arturiax. It's definitely shaping up to be one.
Yeah, Bug came off without suspicion, it looks like, unless Yeesh just hasn't bothered lighting and is waiting for the statue visit.
Very true. We haven't got this this flirt going. That's the only thing that's going to hold us back in this game. Stepping out of conversation.
It's not even a guaranteed 3 flirt.
Right.
We have 29% for the first one, so we're going to need a green if we want to do it in 3.
Thankfully, we hit that big green. 80% now means that we only need 20 to finish the flirt off. 17 is the minimum that we can get for a flirt, which puts us in pretty good standings for a white flirt from any point of view. Statues looking pretty tempting now to potentially get those inspects done.
I think you have to statue. I don't want to risk waiting for the timer flirt here. He can, and perhaps it's a bit less suspicious to go back to the same conversation. But instead choosing to go into statues, probably the safer play, because if our ST does bail on us, we are going to be short on time.
There it is. Statues inspected, completed. And Yeesh not even dishing out a highlight for this. Very much tells me that he doesn't feel like Pearls is the spy. With one more flirt to be done and the flirtation cooldown expired, all arturiax has to do is right-click to win. 8 seconds on the win countdown. Yeesh Will he make the shot? Will he make any shot? Doesn't look likely. arturiax does the impossible and finds the spy win on courtyard.
Definitely staying alive here. And the only other spy win he has to get is on ballroom, which is a very achievable feat. So we'll have to see. Well, first he has to get past a sniper win on courtyard, which isn't the most difficult thing in the world, but we'll see.
Oh my, that's literally max range walking bug right there. That is incredible that it connected. And Pearl's walking bug reverse drive-by is probably one of the strongest in the game due to the fact that she's so slender, but from the side, her arms are completely covered. You do have a couple of clues that the reverse drive-bys happened. You know, the arm snapping back into position. But Yeesh doesn't catch that. arturiax, that is an impressive reverse drive-by bug to win as spy there. Yeesh, though, now spying on courtyard. We saw him get pretty tricky on library. Let's see if he has any tricks up his sleeve on the courtyard here. Playing his favorite, plane twin. Let's get it done. In 3, 2, 1, playing it. Oh my god. So he's purloining on the spot. This is disgusting. Oh, he clashes.
Oh, he crashed.
Oh my goodness.
This
Tricks
this
indeed.
Is some secret courtyard tech, but I don't think it's the tech that's going to win you a game. Wow. Is arturiax just low-lighting everybody at the party except Yeesh? Okay, no. Yeesh does get the green purloin he was looking for eventually. It just took him a little bit.
Wait, when did he get the green purloin?
At the window just now. And a non-low light is going to take it.
I didn't even see it happen. Wow, non-low light takes it. Here he is at statues, the only highlight of the game. I mean, I've played Yeesh in some of these Summer Cup scrims, and he has so much random tech on courtyard for purloining. It's just crazy.
arturiax just saw the purloin.
Holy
he didn't
moly.
see Disney take it.
Oh, this is scary now for arturiax. Clearly thinks that Yeesh is the only possibility for a crash at the beginning of the game. But now with statue and specs, Yeesh needs to get a contact and then finish flirt. But he's standing in a position where he could even bug and wouldn't even have to flirt. Finish this game very quickly. A really good angle as well.
And the end of red.
Contact. Will he bug?
I
no,
think
he picks up the
dead
briefcase.
Right
What that was action priorities. Checker, please. That's the only thing I can say about that one. I think that had to be a stop talk attempt. Double click into accidental pickup of the briefcase.
I think it could have been him attempting to make it look like he wasn't in for the BB.
I don't even know. This game was so bad and so good at the same time.
The Amba's standing right next to you. Just casually grab the briefcase. Oh, man. So
I really like this play from Yeesh. There's so much chaos on courtyard. And look at the opening shot that we get for arturiax here as sniper. Yes, Toby and Yeesh are on the forefront, but the ambassador is looking like she's just about to cycle past the statues. So of course arturiax has to follow her, and all this time you're watching the ambassador, watching for anyone coming through, looking for the statues, and Yeesh is purloining, standing still, beginning of the game because he spawned next to Toby. Yes, he walks away half a second too quickly. If he just waited that frame for the hand to touch the drink officially, then yeah, he would have taken the drink and ran away. And I don't think arturiax would have been any the wiser. But of course, arturiax was like, what the heck, crash. Chucks out a highlight. Gets some good lowlights, but wasn't really willing to lowlight any more than what he took, just due to the fact that he never ever saw Yeesh even being offered a drink. So how could he actually accurately lowlight for the crash? And there's the green test purloin at window pads. Hard, furious, ridiculous spy play from Yeesh. Shut down by a briefcase pickup next to the ambassador, which arturiax was 100% okay to shoot for.
It was definitely a good attempt at trying to get back into the game after the crash. The green purloin is pretty much unseen, using arturiax taking lowlights from the crash to actually cover for it. But unfortunately, it doesn't pan out in the end.
So here we are on the final map of the of the round of 16 map pool ballroom, a spy's playground potentially. Arturiax has to spy to remain in the Summer Cup tournament. If he loses this game here, then unfortunately he goes out in the round of 16 and will end his experience. And Yeesh will be the first to go through to the quarterfinals as the reigning champion of the Summer Cup tournament. Let's see if Arturiax can do it. On wheels to spy in 3, 2, 1, playing it. What do you think's going through your head at this point, Nanflus?
I don't know what's going through my head after you see Yeesh crash on Courtyard and still somehow almost manage to pull out a win. I think you're feeling pretty good after managing to get a spy win past him on Courtyard. If anything, it should be an indicator that he can do it easily on Ballroom. But Wheels' bug is not as reliable as Pearl's. We'll have to see.
We're seducing. This is a pretty tidy range, as you notice. Small men step in between us. Not one that super easy to pair. Perfect against a somewhat behavioralist like sniper like Yeesh. 31%. It looks like we're sticking around for the timer as well.
I think this is something similar to what I said during the Challenger bracket cast last weekend. But when you're in a position like this, are you going to come out and play very aggressively to try and make an upset, or are you just going to play a cool, calm, collected spy game? It looks like Arturiax voting for the latter. Not going for any early hard tells or anything that would get him suspicion. Briefcase cancel comes off into center statues.
Yeah, so briefcase cancel, for those wondering what that path was. Walk towards the briefcase. The red dress AI was picking up the briefcase, and as soon as she did, Arturiax cancelled his path, repathed over to statues, where he swaps the statue and triple inspects, but Yeesh does not care. He's going to chuck the highlight, and he's going to chuck the shot that way as well. Yeesh has done it 6-3 here, taking the sniper game on Ballroom. He knocks Arturiax out of the tournament and progresses to the quarterfinals.
I think this is the result many people expected, but it was a bit of a ride to get there. Amazing comeback attempt from Arturiax, especially with that spy win on Courtyard. Very clean. But unfortunately, the swap gets seen in this Ballroom game, and Yeesh is going to get the win.
Absolutely going to get the win. An impressive game and a 6-3 scoreline that doesn't really, show how close this series potentially was between these two. Arturiax really drawing a hard round of 16 matchup here. And unfortunately, this is the end of their run. A fantastic run indeed. But Yeesh will make it through to that quarterfinals like we talked about. Looking forward to seeing if he can continue his run, potentially become the first back-to-back Summit Cup champion.